back to Tarot Time with Justin and Tor. I just came up with Tarot Time before I hit the record button. I am an intuitive and guide. I also do tarot reading. Justin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am both of those things, as well as a writing coach and a film producer and development executive.
So impressive. And for the last few months, Justin and I have been doing these sessions together where we delve into the tarot and we investigate our relationship to it. Sometimes we have been applying gay topics and gay themes, the gays. And but today I think we're going to be a bit more general in our sort of exploration because I think that, you know, Justin is in America, I am in the UK. Both of these countries are going through an avalanche of change and turmoil and difficult times, both sort of personally and collectively. And so we thought that what we would do today is that we will take you through how perhaps we would do this for ourselves, and then that might inspire you to do the same, is to how can you use the tarot as an instrument, a tool to anchor yourself as you are going through a challenging time. Do you think that sounds correct, Justin? Is that what we had planned?
Yeah, I think that's beautifully said. So if we think of ourselves individually and or collectively as like a kite, it's easy to get blown hither and yon, to and fro by the winds of change and turmoil and all the things going on. And the tarot can serve as that anchor. Again, think of it as like
Mm.
tying a kite to a big rock, that it's not going anywhere no matter where the winds are trying to take you.
Mm. I am currently reading a book series which is called The Bone Season,
Oh yeah,
and it's so good.
it is. Yeah.
And the tarot is all over it. I love it every time they bring in a tarot card or a tarot deck. I am currently on the third book, and I mean, not to spoil, but there was like a scene they painted where all the major arcana cards was used in such a way to create an ambience of like clairvoyance and just like decorate the space basically. It's such a cool book or book series. I can't put it down. Like whilst I'm eating, and I suppose you're not supposed to do anything whilst you're eating, but whilst I'm eating, I'm sitting there like with my Kindle, like shoving food in my mouth and reading this book, you know? It's so good. Have you read it?
I have read the first two books,
Right.
yes, and I actually liked it as well.
Yeah, I'm currently on the third, and I think there's like seven of them, and it's excellent. I love a book series which also is like long and you can sort of go through that character arc and the changes. Oh, I love reading. And I mean, I'm talking to a writer, so I mean, speaking to the choir, basically.
Yeah,
What?
but there is a reason that we tell stories and that we can resonate with them, even though that might be a fantasy world and seems
Mm,
unrelated to us. It's like it's not unrelated to us, right?
mm. What is your favorite sort of genre to read, apart from poetry?
It is probably fiction.
Yep.
I heard a very great celebrity writer say, and you all might have too, because I think it's on a commercial actually for Masterclass. But she said basically, I'm going to paraphrase, that there's more truth can be found in fiction. And
Mm.
that really resonates. I think it's
Mm.
easier to kind of distance ourselves from ourselves and, oh, but the character did this, or the character's thinking that, or
Mm.
whatever it might be, that we can connect with it maybe a little easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And what genre within fiction is like fantasy, sci-fi, thrillers?
Yeah, and we say in the film business genre agnostic, which I kind of hate.
Mm.
But what it means, of course, is that not tethered, haha, my word again, to any specific thing. And so
Mm.
that's me too. It's like I can read Stephen King or Ray Bradbury or a romance novel or a queer novel by a
Mhm.
writer. As long as it's a good tale and there's something that is emotionally resonating in it, that's the key. And it's the key
Mm,
to what I do with screenplays or pilots for series. What is the emotional hook? If there
mm,
isn't one, that's a problem. Because if you think
mm,
of like, well, Bone Season is a good example. If there wasn't an emotional hook for you, you would never have gotten to book three.
mm. Precisely. That is very true. I suppose I'm like vanilla genre agnostic in the sense of like I am very drawn to fantasy. I
Hmm.
love fantasy. Like I can just plow through the fantasy books, It's like just never ending.
And
Uh,
what is it about that that resonates for you? Is it the escapism of it, the imagination of it? How would you characterize that?
I mean, I think it is, any good book, like you've just said, has an emotional hook, right? And I think that what does the fantasy, because obviously the fantasy element is important. Otherwise, I could just read any other book, which has a similar sort of growth arc, I suppose. I think there is something about, because I mean, in so many ways, like my job is pretty serious, I guess, in a way. And so having a moment to just step into a world where everything is like fantastical is quite a nice sort of balm for my mind, I think, in a way. And, I suppose there's a part of me who also really wants to believe that it's true, although I don't really believe in sort of magic and spells and whatever in real life. Like, I'm just not that way inclined, really. But when it comes to book, I'm like all in, like 100%. It's really interesting.
So would you not say that the tarot, for example, is magical? Or would you not ascribe the word magic to tarot at all? And if that's true, either way, what words would you use to describe like how the tarot operates, for example, or your own intuition when you're dealing with a client?
Divination. It's divination, you know? I suppose you could argue that it's magical, but my sort of slight bone of contention with that is that something which is magical or mysterious cannot technically be explained. Like there is a mystery to it. Well, so I actually think it's quite easy to explain how divination and tarot works. Like to me, it's entirely logical.
Yeah, see, I would agree with you, except that my little caveat to what you said, and maybe it's just what I've come to, is I will use the word magical with this
Mm.
caveat, and that is it is magical until it is explained. And even
Yeah.
once it's explained, where did it come from? Where does story come from? I ask that question rhetorically to writers all the time. We don't
Mm.
know. It comes through us somehow, but why
Mm.
was a certain story given to you? And why was a certain story given to me as a writer? And then tangentially, why is it that you resonate with this story and maybe I read it and go, yeah, it was fine.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that is like an interplay of our own soul, personal life experience, and I suppose the story that was channeled through that person at that moment in time, right? And so there's like a mixture of ingredients that creates that experience, I guess. But yeah, to me, like divination, clairvoyance, mediumship, it's all entirely logical.
Yeah.
There isn't a mystery to it. To me, it just makes absolute sense. It's entirely natural. It's something which exists in the universe,
Yes.
and that makes it not magic.
Well, that's it. And I think anything eventually does and can be and will be to some level explained by science or fact.
Yeah.
Electricity doesn't make sense, except now we have scientific tests and facts to back up that yes, not only do we know it exists, but this is how, as much
Yeah.
as we can understand that.
Yeah, precisely. And so, yeah, that's how I think about like magic and tarot. And yeah, it's such an oxymoron that I love reading fantasy book, but actually in my own daily life, I'm like, no, it's entirely logical. Like it's all explainable. There's no mystery to it. It's quite an interesting sort of juxtaposition between those two things in my mind, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I wonder how that's happened though. Like how did like because maybe I should be reading, I don't know, Nietzsche, which I haven't read. Um instead of something which maybe would align more with that magic in that sense doesn't exist. You know, it's like an interesting, yeah, it is interesting that I can sort of hold those two truths at the same, or those two experiences at the same time.
I think that's what makes a more well-rounded human being too. Is like,
Mm,
being able to play, shall we say, in the fantasy or imagination space, but also buckle down and take in, snippets of philosophy or social sciences or psychology or,
mm,
whatever it might be that's more fact based.
mm.
Uh, that you could jump from reading a, paper that Carl Jung wrote or something like Viktor Frankl's book, and then, be excited to go dive into Bone Season or something in the fantasy space.
Yeah, I mean, like I said to you before we came on, I'm currently listening to Man's Search for Meaning, and I have to like, yeah, precisely. Give Man's Search for Meaning a break while stepping back into the bone season, just to give my mind a break from the earthly reality of man's search for meaning and the description of his experience, which is just horrendous. But what is interesting in Man's Search for Meaning is that they were actually doing seances in the camp, which I had no idea that they were doing, which I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Maybe this is why I was drawn to read the book, because even in the camps, they were doing seances.
Yeah. And even in the camp, they're searching for meaning, to borrow the title. And
Yeah.
I would say in my work over the years now with writers, stories, and writing, and then the tarot incorporated with that, sometimes at the same time, I don't think there is a veil of separation between the fantasy and imagination space and something like a seance and something as harsh and awful as the concentration camp, all to say it is a part of the human experience. And what are we gleaning from that experience? What are we making of that experience? How do we incorporate, whether it's fact, fiction, or otherwise, those things into our life? How can we boil it down to something that we can take forward and make ourselves better and then the world around us that much better as well? That's what it really all comes down to. Whether we got it from Star Wars or a Holocaust account or, something our parents said 20 years ago.
Mm, mm. Did you read a poem this morning?
I did.
What was it about?
I'm still on Walt Whitman because there's a lot to get through. But it was a beautiful poem that is very much related to the gay audience that we've maybe more specifically spoken to in the past. It was a poem about waking up sort of in a bit of despair about the world, but then meeting a friend, a lover, and reclining with them like in a field and waking up in the middle of the night and they were still there. And that love of a companion in that sense, really
Mm.
beautifully written and, dare we say, ahead of its time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a beautiful, it's such a beautiful way to start your day to
Yeah,
read a poem every morning.
it is. And, poetry is something that largely we don't talk about. Like, I couldn't tell you probably who the poet laureate of the United States is. And the fact we even still have one's kind of like, huh? I think if I went out into the street and took a poll of 1,000 people, I bet you no one could tell me who it was. And I bet you out of that 1,000, very few would even realize there was one.
I mean,
Uh,
what is that?
So
Point,
a
point
poet
made.
laureate, it's basically like this is the poet who, we're going to focus on and hold up to the morals, the ideals of the United States at this time, right?
Okay,
In
and who is it?
orchestras, they will have like a conductor laureate. So it's like the revered conductor, who has that special title over the orchestra. So when they come in, it's like an extra special event, we could say.
And who is the poet laureate right now?
I don't know. That's the thing. If you put me on I could Google it, of course, but I don't just immediately know. And that's sort of interesting.
I had no idea that that was a thing. How fantastic. I do not believe we have anything. I mean, maybe we do have something like that in the UK. Who knows? Um,
But like at Westminster, not only are there amazing authors and whatever, there's tons of amazing, UK poets.
mm,
But I
yeah.
don't think necessarily, and at least one American poet, Longfellow, who's buried there, which was a huge thing. And he lived
Mm.
around, I believe, the same time, some kind of overlap as Walt Whitman. So, yeah,
Mm.
both Americans, but both poets.
Love that. Okay, so it was primarily your idea today. So do you want to introduce us to the tarot's idea and how you're going to use it and just, yeah, build on what I
Yeah,
was saying earlier and let's head into the tarot.
perfect. So I think, again, to repeat our theme, as it were, we're looking for the tarot to give us two anchor cards each, which Tor and I, of course, will both pull respectively in a moment, to look at as things to ground us in moments of turbulence, whether that turbulence is personal to each of you that are listening, something that seems to affect mostly you and not a lot of other people, or something that's in that collective space, something that's affected all of us, regardless of where you live physically in the world. The tarot can be such a great help too. We can find ourselves spinning to go back to and go, okay, yes, but then there's that, which
Mm.
is also a truth that we can lean into. When I'm doing personal readings, I will most often, I would say 99% of the time, find a way to incorporate an anchor card. So if someone was asking about love, for example, it's like, regardless of whether you find it in these next months or whatever time period we're looking at, here's the anchor card when it comes to love that you can look back on. So we're
Mm.
doing that here, but more specifically in terms of turbulence, troubles, fears, those things that are swirling around us. So wherever this finds you and whenever this finds you, this is what you needed. So
So, should we make it so that the first card is personal and the second card is collective?
that's fun. And then I think we can also, if we want, like look at both of them opposite of maybe what we picked. Like how can the personal one also be collective?
Yeah, precisely. And maybe we make it somewhat to make it somewhat relatable to ourselves. We can also think about it perhaps in the context of maybe our own lives to an extent in how
Yeah, no,
much we
I
are.
don't mind sharing anything that comes up for me as an example of how you, the viewer slash listener, could then use it for yourself.
Yeah, 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 precisely. Okay, so let's pick some cards.
Beautiful.
Let's pick some cards. You are more than welcome to go first.
All right. So as usual, I'm going to have you pick the two cards that come from quote unquote my deck. So let me finish shuffling and then you'll intuitively tell me what cards to pick. I just find it's more engaging for me because then none of it comes from me, if that makes sense.
That
It
makes
takes me out of my own headspace, so there's no ego. So I'm going to flip them. I can't see them and intuitively tell me when to stop twice. Are you ready?
so ready.
All right, here we go. Tell me when.
Stop.
Great. I felt that one too. It literally wouldn't leave my fingers, so that's cool. That means it's big. All right, card number two, tell me when.
Stop.
Great. Yeah, these are both really big for us. Are either of these cards reversed? Because to remind our viewers and yourself, I don't read, or I should say shuffle. I don't shuffle reversals.
They are both reversed.
Cool. I love it. So should I unfold the first card?
Let's do it.
All right, so we're looking at this maybe more individually.
Mhm.
And do you want this to be your card individually or mine?
Yours.
Okay, cool. So we'll look at it. It is the Five of Cups reversed,
Ooh, that's a
which
good
means
one. That is a good one to get reversed.
it is a beautiful one to have reversed. I'm actually relieved in a certain sense that it's reversed. I will also say, in full confession, if that's the word, and Tor knows this because I told him right before we got on, this card fits me perfectly today.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Perfectly.
amazing.
Yeah. And it just shows that if we want to call the tarot magic, how aligned and grounded and reasonable and rational it is. Because
Yeah,
if I was picking a card out of all the 78 to define myself today, this would be what I would have picked.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's gorgeous. So, elaborate.
Yes. So the Five of Cups, whenever fives come up in the minor arcana to teach everyone or to reinforce what you all maybe already know, it's constraining. It's about going within. And we know as humans going within can be really difficult because we don't like it. It means facing parts of ourselves that we don't like talking about. Maybe it hurts. Maybe it brings up anger. Who knows? Whatever the thing is. And yet it's very important to be more free, right? To
Mm.
integrate those things that we might call the shadow, to borrow Carl Jung's term.
Mm.
And cups are emotion, and that's an important quality of being human and also one of the challenges of being human because our emotions can overrun us. Sometimes we can make what we call an emotional decision that wasn't based on fact, it was based just on maybe fear or some other feeling, right, that we had. And it's the tarot is never dismissive of what you feel, which is one of the things I really admire and love about it. So, in other words, for me, it's not saying if these are the spilled cups, it's not saying, hey, Justin, you didn't lose anything. It's saying, yeah, you feel like you've lost something. You feel depleted. You feel a little less of yourself. The tarot's recognizing that, but it's also pointing out the other truth, which is, but you still have two cups and a bridge to something new in the back. Where are you going to put your focus? Are you going to keep it on the loss and the mixed feelings of turbulence, or are you going to focus on things that are positive and actually can help you move forward?
Mm.
And with it reversed, I love it because it lightens all of that up. It's to say, to borrow a biblical phrase, this too shall pass. Whatever the
Mm.
thing is, let it go. Just let it wash over you.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's like if ever you are going through a difficult time and you pull the Five of Cups reversed, it's just like it's gonna be okay.
That's it. And
It's
if you
like
got nothing else out of what we just said, what Tor just said is the thing to put on the t-shirt. It's going to be okay.
it's gonna be okay. It sucks right now, but it's gonna
Yeah,
be okay. Probably even sooner than you think.
right, right. And even though this is a cups card, which is emotions in the heart space, it does tie in, as emotions often do, with the head space in the sense that
Mm.
fear and anxiety, even to some degree depression, they can be mental states only. Because what is fear? It's like the thing hasn't happened yet, but it could, so I'm afraid.
Mm.
And anxiety is kind of like the opposite side of that same coin. It's like, I have all these feelings. I don't know how I'm going to have to respond in the future for the thing that hasn't even happened.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. I'm so pleased for you that you got
Yeah.
that card in this moment, and also that perhaps the person who is watching this also got that card, you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing I will say to myself and then all of us, Tor very much included, that is always true, that the
Mm.
thing will pass.
Mm.
We don't know when, right? But it will. And there
Mm.
is a way through as well, whatever the it is.
Mm. Do you want to do my first card before we move on to your second card, or will you continue with your second card?
It is up to you, Mr. Channel Holder, which feels intuitively right for you.
I'm going to pull my first card.
Cool.
Okay, so I have pulled the Queen of Pentacles reversed.
Love it.
How do you feel about the Queen of Pentacles reversed? What are your feelings?
So in general, for me, I don't necessarily or usually read reversals as the opposite meaning of a card.
Hmm.
Reason being is factual to me, and that's because if the tarot wanted you to have the opposite meaning, it would give you a different card.
Mm.
So someone might look at the Queen of Pentacles as saying, again, it could be a feeling of loss of something in the material or the physical world. That to me would be like if the tarot wanted you to see something specific like that, it would give you like the tower,
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So
Like,
to me,
yeah.
I would see the Queen of Pentacles reversed as a reminder of your own value.
Mm.
And if the
That's really
pentacle is
nice.
no longer, at least in the Smith Rider deck, if it's no longer in the queen's lap, it's then dropped and it's spilled out. And if you think of it dropping into yourself, it's like the value is you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a thing from the outside.
Mm. Yeah, I should probably actually show people the card because I didn't even
Yeah,
show it.
please.
So this is how it
Oh,
looks.
that's so pretty.
This is how it looks reversed, and she is holding the coin in her lap. So yeah, it's about worth, isn't it? It's about remembering your worth and working through what is the blockage that's
Mhm.
keeping you away from acknowledging your worth and your ability to create in this moment.
That's it. And you think about the harmony that the Queen of Pentacles reversed and the Five of Cups reversed have. It's really beautiful. It's
Mm,
almost like if you can lean into that this too shall pass of the Five of Cups, you will, the river, as it were, if we're following the cups, will lead you to that value that you have as a person in that Queen of Pentacles reversed.
yeah, and it is really interesting. And I'm going to be cheeky after today's reading, actually, because I mean, my worth, especially in my life, is largely tied up in my job
Hmm.
because I am my job and my
Yeah.
job is me. So it's almost impossible to separate those two things. And so I've just come out of a big project with you now, which you know, and now sort of refinding myself, re-establishing my worth, finding out the next path, finding out what I'm going to try and do next in terms of like big projects. And I mean, obviously, I have a path of what I do, but it's just like rejigging a few stuff, and that is obviously apart from my worth. And I think it's always true for me, and that's always been an ongoing process, is to try and disentangle as much as possible of my worth into my job. But it's also impossible to do it because we live in a society with bills and capitalism, and so it's all very sort of psychologically complex. But I think that card fits very well.
I think it's beautiful for you. And it's a reminder, too, that if on the surface the next opportunity you get isn't as big, quote unquote,
Mm,
as the one that you just left, it's finding solace in that and that it's the perfect thing for you now. And that the thing after that is the perfect thing for you now.
mm.
Then that makes sense to say.
It does make sense to say, absolutely. And it's just, it's like that psychological self-management of that,
Yeah,
the Five of Cups. It's gonna be
exactly.
fine.
Yes.
It's going to
Yes.
be fine.
Yes.
And that's, yeah, that's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. What's your second card?
So the second card, which we're looking at, for purposes both collectively and individually, but maybe with more emphasis on the collective, it's the star card reversed.
Ooh,
Yeah, love it.
that showed up for me reversed the other day.
Yeah. So what did you feel then when you received it, and what are you feeling now if it's different as far as the collective?
Yeah. It's interesting because I mean, I like the interpretation of the star, which to some degree is about hope, right? I like that interpretation. Obviously, there's other interpretations as well, which is totally valid, but that sort of energy and essence of hope. And with it being reversed, there's a feeling of not losing hope, right? Keep your chin up, keep your back straight, stay confident, and keep on going, even though perhaps the world seems to be shrinking and a lot of people are going through a very difficult time. I mean, we're lucky. We have a roof over our heads. We're not being, I don't know, tracked by ICE agents, right? We are fine. But there's a lot of people in the world who are not that and are going through a very difficult time. And if possible, try not to lose hope. Even though it seems dark right now, the world is always going through cycles, which means that at some point, the light will have its turn once again. And that's easy to say again when you have food in your belly and the roof over your head, but it will change again.
No, it's beautifully said, and I think there's something to that anyway, but also as we look to 2026, which is the year of the Wheel of Fortune for us as a collective. And
Mm,
it borrows very beautifully off what you just said. If we think of it as the wheel will turn, and it's
mm,
important to note it's called the Wheel of Fortune, not the Wheel of Misfortune.
mm. Have you read The Wheel of Time?
I haven't, but I know, of course, of it. Yes.
Again, I know there's such an excellent book series. I've read them all twice.
Beautiful. You know, it's
Um,
good when you go back to dip again. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The Wheel of Fortune will always, you know, it keeps on spinning, unless you get it reversed, and then
Oh, come on.
you might be going through it. There might be some challenges that you have to navigate coming up, basically.
Yeah, and it's alerting you to those. So yeah, I think what you said about the star card reverse is so spot on. And if we want to borrow another word that can be and often is used appropriately with the star besides hope, which yes, can be harder to find in these turbulent times, but is still present, how can we give that to each other as a collective? The other word
Mm.
though might be healing.
Mm.
And I'm also inclined to say intuitively that you'll see the water bearer in the card, and there's that, pouring out onto the land, and then, the pouring into the pool of water. Perhaps collectively, it's making sure that we are filled up in order to give out then to the world around us in the community and vice versa. That there
Mm.
needs to be that exchange. Because oftentimes when we are empathetic to what's happening around us, it's easy to get caught up in giving, 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 and then having almost nothing for ourselves to show for it. So
Mm.
I think that's just an important thing for those of us that are empaths or caregivers of any kind, healers as well.
Mm. Mm. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that's such a beautiful card to get for the collective. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, no, I really do too. What is your second card? I'm so curious.
Ooh, that's interesting. And so this card is unique to this deck. So this deck has actually got 80 cards, not just 78. And it's another card in the major arcana, and it is the Artist Upright,
Oh,
which I think also is very cool to get for the collective. And as you can see, it's like got the wings, which I'm guessing it's Hermes, right? That's the
Mercury and Hermes. Yeah.
Mercury, Hermes. You got the Yggdrasil tree in the background. He's writing, and he's looking into sort of the clouds, Yggdrasil, and he's noting down the messages and he's spreading that around the world, right?
Yeah.
And so, I think that what this card is sort of sharing with us is to look for messages in the divine, because as you can even see, there's there's like a castle in the skies in the back
Yeah.
there, and it speaks to like what are some of the divine messages, the healing messages that we can share with the world, and like going deep into the ethers and picking those up and sharing those with the world. I think is a beautiful thing to do, and I suppose the invitation then for those of you who are listening, and also to Justin and myself, and that's part of the work that we're doing right now, um, is like how can you connect more deeply with your divine soul and healing messages that it wants to share with yourself, with your family, with your friends, and with the larger collective at large, and get that deeper understanding of why we are here now in this precise moment. Why did we come here now to
Yeah.
experience this?
Yeah. And that we did, on some level, choose that, or it was chosen for us. And either way, and maybe overlapping ways, this is where we're meant to be. And
Yeah.
it's a shout out to artists of all kind. And if you're watching this and you don't think you're an artist just because you're not quote unquote drawing or sculpting or writing a screenplay or a book or what have you, you are an artist and a creator of your life. You're at least a
Mm.
co-creator of it. And so how can your life shine as art, and how can you infuse your art, as Tor said, with that hope that we need, with that healing that we need. And I
Mm.
think remember too that in the face of things that especially as a collective can come from governments and institutions, wherever they are tethered and whatever their beliefs or machinations are, art
Mm.
can be divisive and art can be powerful. And the other thing is art can be uniting. And
Mm.
we absolutely need that more than ever. whatever form it takes, whether again it's a Instagram post that seems silly, a TikTok dance, even, it doesn't have to be the great novel of of 2026, but maybe it is. And if you're sitting
Mm,
on that, please finish it and get it out into the world. We need it.
mm. Yeah, it's interesting. Just as you were talking, I was also drawn to like, I don't know if you've been paying attention to South Park. I mean, I actually haven't watched any of the South Park episodes, but obviously that's creating quite the thing in America with Trump and everything. And of course, South Park is artistic, and it's sort of satire. And that's
Yes.
part of creating change. And I think through time and through, we've been going through difficult times through in the earthly realms before, and art is often used as a sort of change maker.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
what was, I don't know, I actually don't have the answer to this. Maybe you have an answer. Like during the Second World War, what was the most sort of political art form during that time? Do you know? Because I think there's somewhere in my mind palace, I have this information. I just cannot recollect it. It's too far back.
So I'll tell you where my mind went, and it's not maybe the answer you're looking for, but I think it might be really important, and so I'm not going to ignore it. I think it's important to remember that the Nazis in particular, all the different places they invaded, they tore down the art
Hmm.
and they captured it not just for themselves to hold on to and hoard and, have as value, but also so the people that they were oppressing couldn't see it.
Hmm.
And it's also not lost on me that there was an entire department under the Nazis that was dedicated toward propaganda film in
Hmm.
particular. And film, more than almost any other art form that we have right now, is instantly reachable everywhere. I could
Hmm.
see an image from a movie, you could see an image from a movie from Indonesia. And I
Hmm.
don't speak that language, but the image can convey more than perhaps dialogue or language ever could, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's where my mind went and my heart went when you asked that question. So the importance of art, if we ever think that it's, why am I doing this, etc., look back to that, the horrors of that World War II era and ask yourself why the
Hmm.
Nazis would have made a point to take down all that iconography, whether it was religious, creative, or whatever it was connected to.
Precisely. I'm going to look it up afterwards, actually, because I was like, it is stationed somewhere in a drawer in my mind palace. It's just unreachable. It's too far
Yeah.
back. It is there somewhere because I was taught at uni. I just can't remember it. That's such a good answer. I love that this is where we went today, and it's interesting. It kind of resonates with the types of videos that I've been creating recently on like my Instagram and TikToks and YouTubes, where I say something such as, "So let's say you were guided to pick this card from the tarot.
Right.
Perhaps it might mean this for you in this moment," instead of, because I do enjoy those kind of more predictive videos on Instagram, but it's not also entirely useful. It is useful, but it isn't.
Sure.
It's more important to actually be taught how you can interpret it for yourself, right?
Right.
So I've been leaning into that recently, and I think this fits really well with that and the kind of videos that we've been creating in general. Do you have any closing thoughts, Justin?
Just to remind all of us to lean into the power of these cards, the five
Yeah.
of reversed, the star reversed, the Queen of Pentacles reversed, and then the artist. And if you're inclined to and or you're drawn to one or the other or more,
Mm,
maybe do a little more research of it. Maybe draw what your own version of that might look like, right now.
mm,
Um, and if you're not a drawer, write a poem about it or, journal on it.
mm.
If you're really spiritually inclined and familiar with how to do this, take a spirit journey to that card. I've done that before with different cards, and it's fascinating when let's, for example, say journey to the star reversed and see what else it has to unfold and show of itself for you.
Mm. It's so interesting that this is where you ended up going towards the end
Mm.
of this, because I've been thinking about sort of the meditations that I'll be making, and one of the ideas that I have been playing with is to create a spirit journey using specific tarot cards.
Yeah.
And so that's fascinating.
Yeah, and holding space for that even with the group might be interesting. I'm just throwing that out to you. If you'll know when you feel led, whatever the word is, to do that. And
Mm.
I will say too, as a plug for you, because you won't probably say it for yourself, but for those of you that haven't taken the time to watch and listen to some of Tor's meditation videos, they
Mm.
are really helpful. I did the one yesterday, your most recent one is of this date of this
Oh, did you?
uh
The canyon one.
morning, and yeah, and it was so helpful. It grounded me into the day that otherwise was rather challenging. So I really appreciate it. And if for you, Tor, if you ever think you're doing it in a vacuum, you're not, because you don't know where it's going to reach.
Thank you. I was really happy with that one actually, also because instead of having a thumbnail, I put myself in a video and meditated with you, and I thought that was quite nice.
It was. It felt like, as close to being in the same space. It felt more back to the word at the beginning of the video, tethered. I felt
Yeah,
more connected to you because I could see you if my eyes cracked open or
yeah,
if I
yeah,
opened before you were done or what have you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was, oh, I'm so pleased. That's so wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Appreciation? Appreciate the appreciation.
There we go.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We appreciate clearly everybody coming here. And yeah, if whenever you feel unfettered, ungrounded, a bit lost, you can always pull a tarot card to create a mindful moment to ground yourself, tether yourself, to anchor yourself in the moment as a way to understand perhaps what is the best next step.
Yes. Well said. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Tor.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.